every meeting should have an agenda. And yet you'd think that I was, you know, deconstructing Fermat's enigma, his famous theorem that some Princeton professor solved like several years ago. But I mean, just the most difficult math equation you could ever imagine is the equivalent to having an agenda. It's just like impossible for some people to figure out what they're going to say and talk about. And I think,
I'm gonna admit I'm absolutely guilty of that. Of and this is why it's not an admin role. I mean, because I'm just sat here thinking, and this is why the executive assistant is so key to ensure that those meetings have got agendas. Because if it was left down to me, there wouldn't be agendas because it's just so not up on my priority list. Sorry, Rachel.
but I got to tell
I
you,
agree. They
I
do
mean,
need an agenda.
they, and I talked about this in a previous newsletter edition, which is meeting hygiene. There's like some basics. You need an agenda. You need to make sure the right people are in the room, and you need to make sure that the people who don't need to be in the room are not in the room because it just adds to the chaos. And I have to say that I loved building our meeting tool because it helps people identify whether it's actually a meeting or it's an email or it's like a conversation offline. And chiefs of staff need to be good about this because, and frankly, it's only going to get worse. There's so many inputs in executives' day-to-day activities. I mean, they're just completely overwhelming. And as they become more and more ubiquitous and they're all over the place, you've got to be really razor focused. And you can't have a million meetings. It just doesn't work. People need time to think and breathe and let things sort of marinate in their heads. And there's no opportunity to do that if you're booked back to back to back. And so, yeah, I think that this is a huge
Oh,
part
God.
of the relationship between the executive admin and the chief of staff, which is the chief of staff needs to say, look, this is a really important meeting, but this one isn't. But the admin is the one that has to figure out the Tetris of the calendar and making sure that an executive's time is protected and all of the things that are needed in order to be a fully functional executive.